Hello and welcome everyone to our 17th episode of the Kidbrooke Insights Podcast, covering the most prominent trends and the most innovative technological advancements in the rapidly transforming financial industry. So I'm Zaliia, the head of business development at Kidbrooke, and as always, I'm joined today by Natalie, our marketing expert.
Hello everybody.
So we've got a changed environment today.
We do, yeah.
We've got the new recording place here because we moved the office, and that is a very interesting new development. And we've got a very exciting topic for today as well. We're going to discuss 2025 and what's going to happen this year.
We certainly are. So it's great to be back. It feels like ages, doesn't it? But then, yeah, like you say, a lot has happened. We've moved to our new premises that are looking very slick and lovely. And there is also some other news, isn't there, Zaliia? There's actually three of us on this podcast, isn't there?
Yes, I'm going to become a mom, and that is a new journey for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So that's in the next month or so, isn't it? So that's very exciting news that we have.
That's surely really exciting.
Okay, so getting back into the podcast. So looking into 2025, we've got the overall trends and shifts, and then we've also got AI's role in wealth management, transparency, and engaging younger investors.
Absolutely. So I think that before we dive in and discuss all these interesting developments that really have to do with the financial services industry, I think it totally makes sense to discuss the general trends, how our world has really changed since we last spoken.
There's been a hairy few months, hasn't it, with lots of political uncertainty around the world, but I think notably in the US, with the promises made by Trump's team signalling significant shifts in foreign policy, economic strategy, and global alliances. And this could shape diplomatic relationships, particularly with China, Russia, and within NATO. And we've already seen escalating trade tensions between the US and China. So this could totally disrupt global supply chains.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Do you actually believe that these geopolitical uncertainties will impact the dynamics of global investments and corporations around the world?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of radical uncertainty amplified by the ongoing conflicts, economic volatility, and the environmental crisis. So this will likely challenge risk management models. And this unpredictability demanding a more adaptive, resilient strategy from government and businesses alike to navigate the shifting global dynamics effectively. But what do you think the global economic outlook for 2025 would be?
Well, that's a very interesting question because even if you look at the Western world, it starts in a little bit disparate way. Maybe as usual, but we can see that the US actually starts really strong. So we can probably say that the inflation crisis is in the past because the Federal Reserve predicts the inflation to go down to the targeted 2% in 2025. We can also see that the unemployment rate is at historical low. It's at 4%, which is the lowest that it has been in 3 decades.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We can also see that really a few of the promised policies of the new president's team are likely to further support the economic position of the United States. And by that, I mean the deregulation, of course, and the tax cuts. But at the same time, there are a few trends that are a little bit more worrisome in that regard. So here I, of course, mean the tariffs and also the changed policies regarding the migration, which may squeeze the economy out of the workers. That is the US. But then we have the European Union. And there, unfortunately, things don't really look as bright because European Union has faced a crisis after crisis since the pandemic, and even before that, we can even claim that it has been facing crisis since the Brexit came. So there we can see that there hasn't been much opportunity really to recover. Even though Mario Draghi has presented a big plan on strengthening the single market, it will be likely that the European Union will continue to try to kind of address the immediate crisis that happened, and by the next possible avalanche, I mean the tariffs that may be imposed by the Trump's team, of course.
Yeah.
So interesting world.
It is there. It feels a little bit crazy, doesn't it, at the moment? A little bit scary. But do you think this would impact the digitalization within the financial industry, and how?
I think it certainly will impact the digitalization trends, but of course we want better international cooperation for digitalization to be strong, but at the same time we could see that sometimes the economic challenges actually prompt innovation, and the pandemic was exactly the time when the digitalization accelerated despite some economic difficulties that everybody faced. So I believe that one of the interesting trends to watch in that space would be how the cooperation between the Western countries and the emerging countries in the Middle East and Africa is going to develop. And diving a little bit into that, what do you think are the interesting demographic trends to watch in the coming year?
Yeah, so I think you touched on it a little bit there, but I mean, you've got the aging populations in the developed economies like the West, East Asia, Europe, which is increasing demand for retirement planning, healthcare, investments and pension solutions. And then you've got regions like Africa, Middle East, South Asia that are experiencing a massive youth population surge, which is presenting both growth opportunities and challenges, such as the need for job creation, financial inclusion and education so that they can be harnessed to their full potential.
Just diving maybe like a little bit more into these differences between the West and the emerging world, do you think that these differences would perhaps drive the different dynamics of how people would make their savings and make their investment, their financial decisions in general?
I think we are looking at needing development of financial services in the Middle East. While the West is somewhat established, we need to consider the changing workforce dynamics. There's a massive rise of the gig economy, which is short-term or like flexible freelance work as opposed to full-time permanent jobs. And this and AI-driven automation is reshaping traditional career paths. And this impacts long-term financial planning, with individuals seeking a more flexible path for savings and investments. So, I mean, if we think about it, it wasn't so long ago that it was almost impossible, wasn't it, for people to get a mortgage on a house? And it's sort of, we've got that similar thing that we're seeing now. So wealth managers must strike a balance between innovation and personalisation, perhaps making the most of technology like AI and advanced analytics to meet evolving client expectations. And if we move more onto AI, I mean, we can't really avoid it, can we? Because AI is everywhere. But the adoption and the discussion on AI continues to send shockwaves through the world. What are the latest news on the topic, and how can this impact the financial industry?
Well, I think that there are a lot of news about AI in general recently. So I think that in the beginning, in the beginning of this year at least, we talked quite a lot about whether it would take over the world and do the malicious things. But I think that as we progressed through 2024, we saw more discussion about the potential difficulties that are attributed to AI. And since its launch in November 2022, I guess many predicted that it would be used really, really broadly, like basically everywhere. But according to the report by Goldman Sachs published this summer, it was only 5% of American firms that actually reported using it regularly. So I think that the adoption rates are actually not as high as predicted, and at the time as well, the AI startups weren't churning as much profit neither. I believe that there were also some difficulties associated with the availability of data for training AI, and it was actually anticipated that the good training data might run out by 2028. Moreover, there is a huge challenge that is related to how much energy training an AI actually needs. So for instance, the more advanced models such as ChatGPT-4 required as much energy as it would need to power about 5,000 houses.
Wow.
While a little bit less advanced models such as ChatGPT-3 I think it would need only about 100 houses. So like the more amazing it gets, the more cost the humanity had to pay. But of course, once the AI actually enters a labor market, it starts to pose more interesting challenges. So even though it is reported by many workers that they're not really using AI yet, in many cases they have the incentives to say that they are not using the AI because they're afraid that they would be given more work. So perhaps workplace management challenges that we haven't encountered before and that we will have to actually address when it comes to using this new technology. And it is, of course, very interesting how it's going to play out. I would also say that even though there are some burning concerns when it comes to the energy efficiency of the AI, and also there were some concerns in regards to how the AI is going to impact the competitiveness around the world. There are new AI models such as DeepSeek from China that actually show that even though there is very, very strong competition between the US and China, this competition actually gives way to innovation, and we may actually see many more interesting inventions in the field.
Yeah, that's really true. So how do the experts assess the usefulness of AI for the financial industry? And do you think it has the potential to change how the industry operates? And if so, how?
Well, I think that the financial industry is actually really, really well positioned for benefiting from AI solutions. And here, of course, we mean generative AI, because it's the one that is being talked about, the natural language processing one. So I think that actually, according to that report by Goldman Sachs, financial services industry was ranked the third after the information technology and the data industries in how likely it would be disrupted by Gen AI. So there is a huge potential for financial industry to actually change as a result of implementing this technology. And when it comes to the current use of it, in the middle of this year, the adoption rate was about 5% in the American firms when it came to the financial services industry. And they predicted by the end of this year, of 2024, and beginning of 2025, the adoption rate would be about 10%. So there is still a lot of room to grow. And there are a few good reasons for that, actually, as well.
And obviously, we can see Gen AI and LLMs are really transforming the wealth management industry by enhancing client experiences through personalised and efficient interactions, aren't they? And this approach really allows clients to access information and advice seamlessly, improving engagement and satisfaction. However, it's crucial to implement an application layer that mediates between the client and the LLM to ensure accuracy and maintain context. And this thereby mitigates risks associated with the AI generated outputs. We know that LLMs have a tendency to lose track of context of extended conversations or interactions, don't they? So what's your stance on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when it came to the actual use cases of Gen AI in the industry, the first use cases were about creating searchable databases. So the idea was to create to gather as much internal intelligence as possible, and then make a useful tool for the financial advisors, for instance, to get the best insights of their colleagues at one click. And then, of course, there were more advanced solutions, and Kidbrooke is one of them, I believe. And this is exactly what you were talking about adding the layer of natural language processing on top of a deterministic financial model. And that is actually something that you may use to address one of the biggest concerns, I guess, that the financial industry has about actually exposing these models to the customer, that they would hallucinate away from the responses that the customer needs. I believe that there are a few ways that one could address it, other than making sure that the language model is used to interpret the requests, and then to connect the requests to the deterministic model. So one of them would be, for instance, to seek confirmation if the model is unsure. And that is also something that we've done with Kidbrooke and what makes her special. And then I think that one other thing would be to make sure that these solutions are able to drive conversation to reach some sort of a goal in the discussion that you are having with the client. And then also to, as an extra layer of addressing these risks, to make sure that all the assumptions and calculations are available for the customer to view, or for the user to view, to just check for the sanity check of the process.
Yeah. It's funny, talking about all this AI and the concerns. I saw an article just this week, actually, of how the UK Treasury Committee has initiated an inquiry into the growing use of AI in banking, pensions and other financial services, with a growing emphasis on safeguarding vulnerable customers. So maybe it's about time. So, I mean, in regards to the financial industry, it's generally very conservative, isn't it? So how would you assess
Absolutely.
the general sentiment of the players towards these tools that combine the rule-based approach and the natural language processing?
I personally was a little bit positively surprised knowing how conservative they are. There is actually much more interest than I expected. Perhaps a big difference with the last surge of AI craze back in 2019 is that generative AI is available for everyone to try out and understand. So I believe that they were actually much more enthusiastic about the coming technology. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, I guess the biggest concern about it was addressing these potential hallucinations and just making sure that the customer wouldn't really face some misleading responses. I believe in general as well, the financial industry perhaps is a bit more open to use these solutions for administrative purposes or to ensure that they're being used by the employees as to not expose the models to the customers just yet. So they are trying to focus on use cases that are addressing operational resilience rather than make the journey perhaps a little bit more personalized. But there are, of course, some of the customers we have that are already working in that space.
And I suppose the future is a careful balance between innovation and responsibility, ensuring that AI serves as a tool to enhance rather than replace trusted relationships. So do you think that AI would replace human advisors completely one day?
I guess we are answering this question every time we are discussing the hybrid approach to the financial advice, right? We've been recently also discussing this when it came to robo-advisory and everything that concerns automation leads people to have this anxiety about being replaced. But I personally think that AI will not replace humans because humans, unlike AI, have demands and they have intentions. And I guess humans also crave the human connection and closeness. So I think those things are perhaps not something that the technology can replicate, at least right now. So I don't really think that there will be massive layoffs and that the human financial advisors or human employees of the financial industry would be completely replaced by robots or AI. But what I believe is that the automation trend will continue, and wherever it is possible, some of the tasks that can be reasonably streamlined, they will be streamlined and automated.
Okay.
But I guess when it comes to seeing how exactly this process would look like, it will basically be up to the next generation, wouldn't it? And while we were discussing AI and while we were discussing these trends, we were referring to the new generation that is coming into the workforce, and that is Gen Z. So, right. Natalie, what do we know about these new people that are coming into the offices and are going to take over someday?
Yeah, so Gen Z, I mean, I would say they're quite a powerful generation, to be fair. So they comprise of 32% of the global population and 40% of consumers, and they have an estimated direct global spending power of $200 billion a year. And then let's not also forget the influence of the influence they have on their parents and their parents' spending, which actually means an indirect spend of $3 trillion a year. I would not know all about that with a teenage daughter, so they do have an influence. So yeah, very powerful. And I mean, the difference with this generation is that they're so tech savvy. So they spend their entire lives online in some form. But these younger generations are really favouring sustainable investing, ESG, and digital first experiences. They're also an expert, because of spending so much time online, they're an expert sniffing out any cynical attempts to exploit their interests. So this makes the risk of a marketing fail huge. But Gen Z also benefits from low unemployment, strong wage growth and favourable economic conditions. And they're also spending a lot more on lifestyle experiences like concerts. They really do seem to try and have that work-life balance and a lot of economic confidence. However, maybe with the rising living costs and potential economic downturns, this isn't sustainable, but we'll see.
They really sound very wholesome.
Yeah, exactly. Where did we go wrong?
But I'm actually wondering, you mentioned that they are quite critical about things that they see online. Do you think that the financial education challenge would still remain a challenge for them?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we've got these trends like the finfluencers, and with the growing use of social media for financial advice. But the problem is that these finfluencers are not really certified or qualified in financial advice, are they? So perhaps we can see there that there's a need for qualified financial planning. Some of these bigger companies, financial planners, investors, maybe starting to get on these live TikTok, Instagram and Instagram channels. I mean, I think now young people are not really thinking about saving, are they, for the future or their pensions? I mean, I don't think I did in my 20s, but with people living so much longer now, it's actually starting to be mandatory, isn't it, to start thinking. It's imperative to start saving younger now.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that in that regard, these digital tools could really help them. And when I talk about the digital tools, I think one thing needs to be emphasized. It is one thing to improve the customer experience just for the fun of it, just for the engagement of it. And another thing to improve the customer experiences of the financial services companies, to make the potential customers understand what they're getting themselves into better and actually serve them as a way to demonstrate what they can achieve with using the products that the financial industry has to offer. And there, where we come to this gamification trend, I think that one needs to be aware that this industry is not about playing games, and that we need to make sure that we come up with fun interfaces, of course, but at the same time we need to be really responsible about them. And I guess the role of the financial analytics in this is undeniable and really important.
Yeah, it really emphasises the importance of transparency, doesn't it? Even though society is becoming more scrupulous about ESG and sustainability metrics, but there's a real need there for sort of good hygiene. With transparency being a growing concern in the financial services, why is it so critical and how can firms improve this?
Well, I think that the transparency has always been a very important value when it came to financial services industry, because it is so close to the core value. It's the trust that you will come next week and still find your hard-earned valuables in the bank vault, right? So it doesn't go anywhere, and I believe that is the main reason that the regulators exist, to safeguard the funds of the people. And even though there were some interesting trends recently when it came to the changing attitudes to, for instance, ESG, I personally believe that they would be here to stay. So when it comes to ESG, for instance, according to The Economist, there are some new funds appearing that are anti-ESG. So they are kind of gathering up the firms that are not really engaged, for instance, in ethical industries. And there is a price to pay to go against the tide, because I would say that overall the financial industry is still trying to ensure that these funds that they provide, the asset managers, of course, are more sustainable. So when you're investing into these funds, they're usually not as profitable, but there is something for everyone on the market. Yeah.
So, we're definitely seeing some real clashes on ESG policies, aren't we? And the growing concerns over greenwashing in ESG practices. I saw there was an EY survey that found that 85% of investors view greenwashing as a more significant issue now than 5 years ago. So I expect we will see the regulatory bodies intensifying their scrutiny. So do you think this trend in attitude would render the ESG trend a fad?
I actually don't really think so, because I actually believe it's really good that people are becoming more cynical about ESG in terms of questioning the metrics, questioning the KPIs that are used to measure the ESG performance. It's always good to be more transparent about the information like that, especially if it impacts your financial decisions. But at the same time, I believe that there is a clear reason why the ESG performance may matter for the long-term survival of the firm. It is important for the survival of the firm that it doesn't cause environmental scandals. It is important for the survival of the firm to have sustainable relationships with the workforce, and that is the social part. And it is important for the firm to make sure that it adheres to all the regulations and maintains good governance. And therefore, I believe that it is hardly a fad. It's just another way of risk managing the performance of the firm, and it is just another way of being transparent about it. So I believe that when it comes to asset managers in general, we can see that the increased transparency and increased accessibility of to this information is valued in the industry. A good example of that is the Fund Information Review study that we conducted this year.
Yeah.
And we focused on the Swedish asset managers. And even though there were quite sizable challenges when it came to the accessibility of this kind of information on the asset managers' websites, we could see as we went through the study that these firms were really working on this metric. And when we got to speak to the industry, we actually saw it as well. There were ongoing projects that concerned improving fund information accessibility and transparency. And the reason why the managers in these firms prioritized it concerned increased trust and communication with the potential investors. So I believe that it is hardly a fad.
No. So, but do you think the attitudes of the Swedish asset managers regarding transparency will change in 2025? And if so, how?
I don't really believe that it will change dramatically, at least because of how important our study was for the industry. It was featured in about 7 different publications, and we were even participating in a podcast from one of the large outlets as well. So the industry was really interested in the outcome of the study, and it was really interested in improving this particular performance indicator as well. So I don't really see that it will change in an opposite direction. If anything, I actually believe that many firms will continue working on making their fund information more available for everyone.
Yeah, I think we can see that transparency lies in combining advanced analytics, personalisation and proactive communication, definitely principles that we at Kidbrooke are champions for.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So I think we should probably call that it, shouldn't we, for this episode? So we discussed the current uncertainty amplified by the ongoing political conflicts, economic volatility and environmental crisis, which will challenge traditional risk management models, demanding more adaptive, resilient strategies to navigate this more effectively. We covered the demographic trends and challenges that we need to be aware of as we step into 25, being the ageing populations in the more developed economies, increasing the demand for retirement planning and pension solutions, and then also the youth population surge that we see in the developing economies, which is presenting both a growth opportunity and challenges, such as there being a need for job creation, financial inclusion and education. And then obviously the tech-savvy Gen Zers, what can I say? They seem to have a lot more going for them than we likely had at the same age. But there could be, I think we see there, the challenge could be perhaps a need for more qualified advisors and investors to have a presence on some of these social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and offering more reliable financial advice. But I think, overall wealth management industry is striking a balance between innovation, personalisation and making the most of technology like AI and advanced analytics to meet the clients' evolving expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also talked a lot about AI and how it will shape the financial industry in particular. And I would say that the financial industry has a lot of potential compared to many other industries. I would say that there would be many clever solutions that are perhaps combining these NLP models with some more conservative technology or with other types of AI which are still there. And then we will also see quite a lot of new solutions that concern improving operational efficiency, where the NLP is facing the employee. And potentially, I believe that if you are layering the financial analytics solutions such as Kidbrooke One with LLMs, then you can actually create responsible and safe customer experiences as well, client-facing experiences as well. So, and when it comes to transparency, I think it's a very interesting trend of being skeptical about some of the trends which were unquestionable, and that is the ESG, of course. I think it's good that the industry is more scrupulous in assessing whether there is greenwashing or whether these performance indicators could be trusted, but at the same time, I think that what they measure is still important to consider if you want to assess the health of the investment or the health of the company that you're investing in. So I don't think that they are going to disappear anytime soon. And when it comes to the fund managers, I believe that there is a lot of interest in improving transparency and accessibility of fund information for the clients, because it is surely a way of creating trust. And it surely is the way to differentiate yourself when it comes to creating investment products.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, overall, I think that the 2025 is going to be a very interesting year. I'm actually looking forward to see how all these trends are going to play out. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you can see all the articles that we used for our research for these trends in the description below.
Yeah, definitely. We'll make sure we tag all the articles and everything that we've discussed. Yeah, so wonderful. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and also follow us on our social media platforms, which are linked in our bio. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're joining from. And until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.